What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE Re-signing Goldberg, Roman Reigns' next opponent, Ronda Rousey was bitter coming back, Brock Lesnar furious with Shane McMahon, more Jeff Hardy and AEW rumors, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at WWE Re-signing Goldberg. Atop in today's news is a wild rumor concerning WWE Hall of Famer Bill Goldberg, who returned at the 4th February SmackDown to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at the Elimination Chamber show in Saudi Arabia, who is now believed to have one match left on his contract. However, Dave Meltzer thinks the WWE could sign Big Bad Bill to a new deal, primarily to please the company's patrons in Saudi Arabia. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer speculated, "I've not heard him re-signing. I would expect that they would re-sign him. They're not going to put the title on him unless he re-signs, I'm sure of that. I could see the argument because of being so high not to re-sign him, but I just sense that they probably will. One, to keep him away from the opposition, and the other because they can afford it to do it again, like the Saudis. There's not too many guys from that era left." And Meltzer's musings that the WWE might put the Universal Championship on Goldberg is chilling, as fans still remember Goldberg's win over The Fiend at 2020's Super Showdown, a win which snapped The Fiend's undefeated record and puzzled fans who had hoped to see The Fiend battle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 36. Might the WWE put the belt on Dollar Bill? As unthinkable as it may seem, Meltzer believes the Saudi Arabian government's wish to see nostalgic acts could have a major effect on Goldberg's future. And Bill is one of the last ones. Undertaker's done, Shawn Michaels isn't going to wrestle again. Paul Levesque, I can't imagine Paul Levesque would wrestle again. Do you think the WWE will bring Goldberg back for another run, and will it include a title win over Reigns? Goldberg's performance at 2021's Crown Jewel showed he can still work, but should the WWE press its luck by signing the 55-year-old grappler? Should Goldberg re-sign though? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE preparing for Roman's next opponent. It looks like the WWE is planning ahead when it comes to Universal Champion Roman Reigns' next opponent. Fans know that the head of the table is fighting Goldberg at the Elimination Chamber, and it appears that Reigns will clash with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but that's just the beginning, at least according to Dave Meltzer, who reported in last week's Observer that Drew McIntyre is very much in the plans for an opponent for Reigns at some point. Before his injury, there was talk of Reigns versus McIntyre, as Reigns' program is in the early part of the year in getting to Lesnar, and now he's back. Perhaps that's in Saudi Arabia, although it would be better served for later in the year. It wouldn't surprise us to see the WWE save Roman versus Drew for a high-profile event like SummerSlam. Even if Reigns loses to Goldberg, it's likely the Universal Championship will be around Roman's waist again. Reigns continues to be booked as a wrestling juggernaut, with fans wondering if anyone is capable of defeating him. Do you think Drew McIntyre could be the wrestler to finally defeat the Tribal Chief, or will he become Reigns' latest sacrificial lamb? Next up, Ronda Rousey was bitter coming back. It looks like recently returned WWE superstar Ronda Rousey had a rough start on Raw following her return at the 2022 Royal Rumble. Meltzer spoke on the recent Wrestling Observer Radio that the WWE officials had to speak with her after Raw. I believe that people were talking to her about Monday. She acknowledged the fans. She was very bitter coming back, and I think it was not a good attitude to have, especially since she's portrayed as a babyface. People, when they saw her, go, "Oh my god, she's being a heel," and it's like, no, that's just Ronda. And then they had to talk her out of basically going, "These people are cheering you, you have to acknowledge them. You don't mean mug them." Now, you may recall that fans turned on Rousey in 2018 after she began working against Becky Lynch, who was cheered by fans despite being booked as a heel. Rousey was subsequently turned heel, with Rousey turning on the fans in her feud with Lynch. However, the fans' negative reaction to Rousey seemed to affect her personally, as she blasted the fans and wrestling long after exiting in 2019. Meltzer's story seems to suggest these feelings may still be present. I know people who talk to her about certain things. It was explained that you have to let that go, fans turning on her, because if you're going to be bitter about that, you're not going to be a very good babyface. Do you think Rousey's angry with the fans, or is she just acting like a badass? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Brock Lesnar furious with Shane McMahon. Reports continue to come in that Brock Lesnar was none too pleased with Shane McMahon's plans for the Rumble, plans which we already reported could have seen Shane at the #1 spot and establish himself as a Royal Rumble Iron Man. Including ones from Fightful Select and The Observer, Lesnar was irate with Shane's backstage behavior or his insistence on things going his way. Fortunately for Shane, Lesnar was too professional to take his frustrations out on him during the Rumble match, but one had to wonder what might have happened if Shane had pushed Lesnar too far. Next up, more Jeff Hardy in AEW rumors. AEW President Tony Khan's recent remark that a top star will walk through wrestling's forbidden door on 9th March edition of Dynamite has led to all sorts of speculation, but a recent tweet has people thinking it could be Jeff, despite Brother Nero reportedly being under a no-compete clause until March. Isaiah Cassidy, a member of Matt Hardy's faction, the Hardy Family Office, tweeted about the potential AEW debut. But hey man, this better not be who I think it is. You're gonna force me to put this dude out for good. By the way, I've called you 4 times, Matt Hardy. I gotta get ready for this ladder match. Cassidy will face the newly debuting star in a qualifier match to appear at Revolution's Face of the Revolution ladder match. But some fans and wrestling pundits believe Hardy's non-compete clause may not apply. Now it's worth noting that short of a no-release clause, Jeff could be released for the WWE without cause. A number of names have come up in the list for possible debuts, names discussed by Dave Meltzer. They announced a big debut on Wednesday, so I'd say that the favourite would be Keith Lee. Could be Athena. John Hennigan is another one. One of the people whose 90-day non-competes ended. Those were the 3 that I thought were most viable to sign with AEW. I know they've been talking to Keith Lee. I know they were pretty close with Keith Lee. If it's not already a done deal, probably is a done deal. I don't know that officially, but that's kind of been the word going around. Our fans will know in 48 hours who AEW's latest star is, which will only fuel discussion over AEW's roster being packed with former WWE superstars. Next up, superstars being upset with Big E's booking. A former WWE champion Big E's singles push appears to be over as he was recently moved from Raw to SmackDown, where he's rejoined with New Day brothers Sir Kofi Kingston and King Woods in tag team action. However, the move apparently hasn't gone over well with superstars who feel Big E wasn't given a chance. PW Torch's Wade Keller is reporting, "I've asked around and all I've gotten is people who are really upset with the rug being pulled out from under him, and I haven't heard anything about there being an awareness of any issue with him, and I think the people I've asked would know." The WWE's booking of Big E as a singles competitor was initially praised as the New Day strongman slowly rose to the ranks, capturing the IC Championship and winning the 2021 Money in the Bank ladder match. Things looked well after Big E cashed in his briefcase, defeating Lashley for the championship. However, Big E's subsequent title run was hit and miss, and Big E's clean loss to Brock Lesnar at day 1 had some fans crying a foul as he held the belt for just less than 4 months. Keller went on to say, "Big E doesn't seem like the type of person who would do anything that anyone else would see as a problem, but I could imagine him not knowing his place, according to some management, and maybe they feel that now that they're going to teach him a lesson because he dared to push back against something he didn't like that he was being asked to do." But I haven't heard of anything concrete as far as that goes. The Keller speculation is nothing new to anyone familiar with the WWE, as Vince McMahon is known for snap decisions as well as his habit of giving wrestlers a push only to take it away to see how they react. Fans also know that day 1 was thrown into chaos when Roman Reigns tested positive for COVID, leading to Lesnar entering the WWE Championship match. Apparently one wrestler who doesn't understand how wrestling works, as Keller reported, one person just described him as a magnificent human being who doesn't deserve this treatment. While Big E is considered a class act, this has little to do with our wrestlers booked, especially as a company's champion. If the WWE's live event sales were down with Big E as champion, the company wouldn't hesitate to put the belt on someone else, regardless of Big E's decency. And finally, Paige's terrific transformation. And last but not least, WWE superstar Paige has a new look, and it has fans talking after the former Divas champion tweeted pictures of her marvelous makeover. Paige's new look is so radical that you might not recognize her at first. However, Paige's new look isn't the only thing about her garnering attention. Wrestling News' Paul Davis commented, 2022 should be an interesting year for her because her WWE contract expires in a few months, and if she doesn't return to the ring for WWE, then you can expect the other wrestling promotions, perhaps AEW or Impact Wrestling, will want to inquire to see if she would be interested in working for them. What do you guys think is next for Paige, and what do you think about her new look? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.